Welcome to Logan 2's production of the Mitten.
Once upon a time, there was a little girl named Amy who always wanted a pair of snow white mittens. One day she asked her grandma if she could make her some snow white mittens, and the grandma said, "I will make you mittens as long as you do not lose them. First, every time you come home, I'll check to make sure you are safe, and then I'll check to make sure you didn't lose your mittens." One day, Amy went into the woods and suddenly lost one of her mittens. Went flying through the air, and it landed right into the white snow. Because it was white, you couldn't see where it went. Along came a little mole. The little mole was cold from the snow and said, "I need to get warm," and saw the white mitten, and it hopped right on in. Then once it got all nice and cozy, another little animal came, a snow white rabbit. He too was cold from the snow and jumped on into the mitten. Because he had his big feet, the mole did not want to argue with the white rabbit, so he made some room. And then once they got cozy, another little animal came, a little hedgehog. He was cold too and said, "I need to get into the mitten." Because he had prickles all over his face and all over his body, the rabbit and the mole wouldn't complain. They let him in. Once they got all cozy, swooped down a big screech owl. He too was cold from the snow, so he decided he needed to get into the mitten. And because the screech owl had big talons on his little feet, they didn't complain, they just let him in. Once they got all nice and cozy, up from under a tree was a badger. Badger who was big with big claws and big teeth. He too needed to get warm in the mitten. So he went on in. Nobody wanted to complain with the badger who had big claws like his. Once they got all nice and cozy, out from the woods, a fox came with a big bushy tail. And he said, "I too need to get warm." So he went on into the mitten. He moved them around, pushed and shoved, make sure he made as much room as he could. Everybody allowed him in because nobody wanted to mess with a fox. Then suddenly, a big black bear came. He said, "I too am cold from the snow, and I need to get some warm." So he got into the mitten. He pushed and shoved and hustled everybody over. Nobody wanted to argue with a bear as big as a house. After a little while, a little tiny field mouse came. And he too was cold from the snow. And so he came right on in